voters have kicked out all of the Republican women from the South Carolina Senate. There were only 3 Republican women in the Senate, and they courageously took on their party to stop a total abortion ban from passing in the state last year. And in turn, all 3 lost their primaries to male candidates. They were among a bipartisan group of 5 women nicknamed the Sister Senators, who filibustered the near total abortion ban. Now, the Sister Senators were all given the John F. Kennedy Profile and Courage Award last year for risking their careers for the greater good. The South Carolina Senate went on to pass an abortion ban last year that prohibits abortions after an ultrasound can detect cardiac activity, which is about 6 weeks into pregnancy and before many women know they're pregnant. Joining us now to discuss it all is Republican South Carolina Senator Katrina Shealy. Thank you so much for coming on Rising.
Thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure to be here.
So what do you make of this decision by many of your colleagues in the Republican Party to sort of oust you 3 for male candidates instead?
Well, I think it was a plan all along, because it was kind of like we heard it after we filibustered, after we I think the Profiling Courage Award was like a slap in their face, that we were told that was a Democrat award, that I guess they thought we were supposed to not accept it, which would really, to me, was, kind of crazy. I'm quite sure that any of them would have accepted that award had they been offered it for something else. But one of the House members specifically said, we will take all the Republican women out of the Senate next year. And, I went and congratulated him after it was over and said, well, you got your wish. And he told me he never said that, but it's on tape somewhere. But I think it's a big loss to the Senate, not because of that, but because we have no Republican women who will stand up and voice opinions on other things. Women they know how to run a family. They know how to buy groceries. They know what it's like to teach their children. There's so many other things women do. I champion so many other issues in the Senate, and there's nobody to do that. And that was the challenge I gave them when I gave my closing speech. Who's going to do all those things that I did? Who's going to do that?
The voters were pretty decisive in the primary. It looks like you lost 37.5 to 62.5 to your primary opponent. This is not just the party bosses wanting you out, but the voters saying that they don't agree with your position on abortion. It sounds like
that was a 5% turnout in the runoff. In the original primary, I won the primary, but not by, because we had 3 people, and it was still abysmal. It was like 14% turnout. And then in the runoff, it was 5%. So it was, nobody's interested in elections anymore, which is, sad. And now everybody's saying, I can't believe you lost. Well, I lost because you didn't show up to vote. But, it's not a given you're going to win an election just because you're an incumbent. And the things they did during that election were horrible. They had billboards up saying that I was a baby killer, that, Katrina Shealy lies, billboards, and all it was about was abortion. They had nothing else to run on. And people just didn't look at my record. My record is clear that I'm for so many other things. I've restructured DSS. I've saved children's lives. I haven't killed anybody. And, it's just sad. It's a sad state of affairs, not just in South Carolina, but across the United States. This is what we've come to. Are children in South Carolina any different than children in California or, Michigan or New York? A little girl that gets pregnant in South Carolina is going to have to carry a child to term because Uncle Joe raped her. Is that the way we want South Carolina to be? And I don't think it is.
Right. This is a district that you represent just outside of Columbia. I'm sure this is one of the districts that the Republicans are afraid could turn blue at some point. Now, typically when you have an incumbent candidate, you have the party supporting their incumbents. Did you see your colleagues endorse, this male primary challenger? And did you see the party throw their resources behind the male primary challenger? Or was this sort of insurgence within the party that didn't have the state party support?
Well, the state party didn't actually endorse anybody. The caucus, the Republican caucus within the Senate, supported me because they realized, the work that I do. But the local party endorsed the other candidate. But our local politics has gotten so... They're not Reagan Republicans. They're far right Freedom Caucus, and I don't know if y'all have Freedom Caucus. I know in D.C., but it's different here because they're so far right that we have just turned into the party of. They want to be for freedom, but only for freedom for things that they want to be free, like no mask, no shots. But when it comes to women, we've gone back to 1920. I'm surprised they haven't taken away our right to vote. We have people that stand in the halls of the South Carolina Senate or the South Carolina State House and say, women shouldn't be here. Women should, be home. Women should be barefoot and pregnant. Women should, they don't have the right to rule. We have one man that is he stands out there with his Bible and says, God doesn't want you here. It's absurd what we let go on at the South Carolina Senate.
Senator, it is the Republican Party platform, though, to be pro-life. And this bill, according to a report from ABC News, does include exceptions for life of the mother, rape, incest, and fatal fetal anomalies. So what is your specific objection to the bill?
Well, the bill as it ended up it's 6 weeks, which when most people don't know they're pregnant. I introduced an amendment that was 12 weeks. And it almost passed. It only didn't pass by 2 votes. It was 25 to 27. That would have been my ideal bill, to be 12 weeks, rape, incest, life of the mother, and fatal fetal anomaly. But once we've gone so far at that point. I mean, if they would leave it alone now, but let me tell you what's going to happen now. What's going to happen now is they're coming back this year. They're going to want 0 exceptions at conception, no exceptions. That's what they want. They want, no abortions, 0 abortions for no reason. And there is a bill in the House right now. We have to start over. It's a new year. But it says if a woman has an abortion, she is subject to committing a felony, and she could get life in prison or the death penalty. There is a bill in the House that says that. They are taking it so far that, doctors are not going to, practice here. So where are we going with this? We have 15 counties in the state of South Carolina that they have no gynecologist. I'm going to get the word right in a minute, because they don't want to practice here because they're afraid they'll lose their license. They're afraid they'll go to jail. That's sad. The maternal and women's health in South Carolina it's abysmal. We just don't have it here because people are afraid to practice. And we don't have any doctors in the Senate or the House. We have a pharmacist. I don't want him practicing, my health care on me. But we don't have anybody that has the ability to tell me how I should take care of my female health issues, or any health issue for that matter. But they want to control that. And they really don't have that experience or that right.
Now, abortion
we
wasn't
should get our
always
doctor's opinion. Excuse me.
And this is something that wasn't always a partisan issue, and it wasn't something that people always looked at the government or their elected officials to get involved in. I'm curious what you make of your position in politics now. Are there still ideals you hold that make you want to stay a Republican, but really question this part of the Republican Party platform that a lot have clung to, which is, a lot of the heartbeat bills, a lot of the total bans without exceptions? What do you make of the party as a whole now? Are you still identifying with Republicans?
I still identify as a Republican, but not on this issue. I'm still pro-life. I'll always be pro-life because I've saved millions of children in South Carolina from being abused and neglected, and keeping them out of abusive homes, and the Department of Juvenile Justice, and making it better, and all the things I've done. I am pro-life. I am pro-life for the elderly. I'm pro-life for so many other things, but pro-life to this group of people is only pro-life for the unborn. That's where it stops. They don't want to take care of children once they're born. They don't want to take care of anybody but the unborn. And they will not help with feeding children. I have a bill out there to feed children in school. They wouldn't pass that. They don't care about you once you're born. So I think that a responsible Republican should want to take care of all people, not just the unborn. And, they laugh at me. I want to take care of the unborn, but I want to take care of everybody. And yes, I'm a Republican. I'm conservative. I believe in being conservative. I want to save the world. I don't want to spend $1 billion doing it, but they just want to save the unborn. And then when they're born, they don't worry about how they're going to be adopted, who's going to take care of them, because there's not all these people that they're forcing to have babies are not going to take care of them. They're not going to, be a great parent. They're going to abuse. If you force somebody to have a child that doesn't want to, and they don't go up for adoption, what's going to happen to them? They don't care about that. You make a child, a 10-year-old have a child, you've not ruined one life, you've ruined two, because a 10-year-old probably is never going to be able to have a child with someone she loves, because you're going to ruin her reproductive system. I've said that on the Senate floor. They don't care. They said it's God's will. Well, it's not God's will for a 10-year-old to be raped by somebody. That's not God's will.
All right, Senator, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks for joining us on Rising.
Thank you.